Welcome to another match preview where we look ahead to our latest FA Cup away day. It's the first round proper again and the Stones travel to Solihull Moors. So a couple of games in the last week then, culminating in a defeat for a youthful 11 at Welling in the Kent Senior Cup on Tuesday. But before then, of course, the Stones finally managed to get that elusive first home league win of the season there, Nigel.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? I mean, we said it in the hot take and on commentary on Saturday. It was just good to continue that progression that we've had over these past few weeks. You know, we didn't get the maximum points in the Slough game. I know Aveley was called off, but then to come out and continue that against Emerald Hempstead, a team that are out there. Whether they stay the course, you don't know. But they was fourth before the game kicked off, so it just was an all-round dominant performance. I think. I mean, I saw a couple of post-match interviews of their manager afterwards the game and said that he thought they was in control of the second half. Hedging your bets kind of thing, really. He's got to say that for his own fans, sort of, because it was off the back of 3 defeats, so any positives that they can gain from that, but it was only the 1-0, but you always felt that if Hemel did get a goal back, you had another couple of gears to go. So, yeah, we had chances, didn't we, that second half? Benson had that chance that he could have had, and there was numerous others as well. So, yeah, I think it's just one of those that gives the team confidence. And we said it on the hot take, it's much needed. So, leading into the FA Cup, you don't want to go into that off the back of a defeat or more drop points again, do you? So, it was just a good sort of all-round feeling. And it gives the players confidence, it gives the fans confidence, and you can just feel that sort of like that little cloud that's sort of been over the season. Maybe because of the indifferent start, is gradually starting to lift.
Yeah. So in goal for Solihull Moors is Laurie Walker. He's their number one. He's played every minute so far this season. He was at Barnet last season, one of 14 clubs in his illustrious career so far. And Aaron Flahaven in his second season there. He's still only one start from last season at the club. So, Nigel, another settled number one, and as good as that is for them, a little stat to throw at you, their defence, they've only had 2 clean sheets so far this entire season, so as good as the goalie might be, he's going to be busy potentially.
And we've experienced that in the past, haven't we, as well, with Walker. I mean, didn't we have that crazy game at Barnet on a Tuesday night when we were in the National League last time? 4-3 or something like that, wasn't it? Where, he's one of these keepers that as well, that, if you give as good as you get, he sort of gives it back to the fan base, doesn't he? So, it's going to be segregated and, you're going to have the away fans. He's used to that banter and, you like to see that sort of thing, really. He doesn't take it too serious, but he's obviously a good goalkeeper because he's for that level. But it's like all these goalkeepers, isn't it? You're only as good as the defence in front of you sometimes. Yes. So it's like a lot of the Solihull players, really. You sort of look at them and they're all players that we would have come across before. We haven't got a very good record per se against Solihull, but Walker, we've had those games with Barnet, didn't we? And then we got to the quarterfinals to the trophy that year, and we lost it on that penalty shootout. And generally we've competed well against them. So you can. When you're doing your scouting reports, you know what these players' strengths and weaknesses are before you sort of have to delve any deeper. So that's all going to help.
So in defence, James Clark is in his 4th season with the Moors after signing from Mansfield Town. Cole Morrison joined from Fylde at the start of last season. Joe Newton in his 2nd season, having previously been at Havant and Coventry, amongst others. Ollie Tipton came in from Wolves at the start of this season. Finn Howell is in his 3rd season with the club. Alex Whitmore joined from Fylde during last season. Jordan Tunnicliffe joined from Wrexham in the summer. Joel Shambrook is in his 3rd year here and yet to feature this season. Marcel Oakley came in from Birmingham City during October. So a lot of players signed from clubs in the local area there, Nigel.
Well, as we've mentioned this before in some of our other preview videos, you're signing local area, being clubs like Coventry and Wrexham, do you know what I mean? So they're all sort of like experienced players, aren't they? I think Newton, from memory, I think he went off injured on Saturday. They had suffered that late loss up at Gateshead. We know about that, don't we?
More on that later.
So that's probably one to keep an eye on the team sheet on Saturday. I think he's a left back, Newton. And he's been quite influential in their sort of the way they play. So again, they've got such a good squad, and all those names you mentioned. It's going to be one where they can put out not just their 1 to 11, but their 1 to 15, 1 to 17, or 1 to 90. How many subs you're allowed nowadays? They're all going to be able to have an influence, aren't they? So they have lost a few players as well. I mean, if you delved into it a little bit more, perhaps you'd see that they have lost some players from last year. So they are in that sort of like rebuilding stage. The manager's only in his second year. He had a good first season, didn't he? Playoff final, 2 trips to Wembley in the trophy as well. But again, it's that second season syndrome. I know they picked up of late since the draw, but they were sort of treading water around that mid-table sort of position, wasn't they? So, and that's like we said before, and we said it on the hot take. All the expectations are going to be on them. So any little win we can have, if a player like Newton doesn't pass his fitness test, you wonder how that psychologically will affect the team. Yeah. If you're preparing all week and you've been playing all season in a certain way to certain players, and suddenly they can't play. So it's certainly something to keep an eye on when the team sheet comes out on Saturday.
Indeed. So their midfield consists of Sam Bowen, who joined from Maidstone in the summer. Josh Ladderby has had no less than 8 clubs in the Football League before switching to the Moors last summer. Bradley Stevenson is a Kent-born player. He signed in the summer from Billericay and scored the equaliser at Altrincham in the previous round. Jamie Osborne is in his 8th season with the club, making over 200 appearances in the process, scoring the equaliser in the Altrincham replay. Matty Warburton is in his 2nd season with the Moors, having joined from Halifax at the start of last season. John Bostock joined from Notts County in the summer after helping them get back out of the National League the other year. And Morgan Owen is in his 3rd year with the club, although he is yet to feature this season. Finn Holmes is a youth player who has featured in several games already this season. Kean Riley is also in his 3rd year with the Moors, on the bench for all bar one game this season. And John Benton is, of course, on loan from Solihull with the Stones and very much unlikely to feature despite being cup-tied from a Moors perspective, but could be a crucial missing piece for the Stones come Saturday, Nigel.
They've got players in there that, you mentioned Stevenson, isn't it? Bradley Stevenson, Kent player, Gillingham. Again, we kind of help with our recruitment because I'm sure it's a player that's certainly been on our sort of radar over the past couple of seasons. When he's been at Billericay, I think was his main club, and he's kind of a big fish in that small pond that is there. But and he's gone up to Solihull, and he's grasped his chance. I mean, it's not just that goal against Altrincham that you mentioned there. I think he scored as well in the Barnet game, didn't he? The one they won 4-3. And he's quite influential in that.
Sounded like everybody did in that game, to be fair.
Exactly. So, again, that although we don't play them regularly, there's a lot of familiar faces in there. So, not that it should be easy to scout them, but you know the players' DNA and what they're going to perform in that team. So, and Jamie Osborne, he's just a stalwart, isn't he? He's the kind of player that when he plays well, Solihull play well, and I don't think he's featured as much this season. He's had injury problems, and that may be one of the reasons why they haven't made as good a start as what they would have expected coming off the back of that playoff final last year. But if you're going to take small comforts from him, a player like Osborne that's so influential for him, and if he's not 100%, he's doubtful when he's coming back from injury, that might be the little glimmer of hope for Maidstone. And we're in kind of like the role reverse of that. Our midfield is now really quite strong, and it's like really sort of like starting to tick now with Sam Corn coming back into it. And he's, they're all going to know about Sam Corn, aren't they, after his exploits last year in the FA Cup. And we've got Papadopoulos in there, and Trusty, as we've mentioned as well recently, is coming into form and sort of settling into the squad now. So, it's just I think it's just going to be such an intriguing game. It's for so many, you could just look at the table and you can think, we're a side that's down in 14th in the National League South. But this is the FA Cup, this is Maidstone United, this is, all those sort of factors go into it. And we're not your traditional part-time side that, that are just happy to be in the first round. Again, after our exploits last year, in our training model, and we're gonna know a lot more about Solihull than what a lot of the teams that they could have got. So it's just going to be intriguing, I think, and it's certainly going to be hopefully a close game.
So up front, James Gale is on loan from Mansfield Town. Tavon Campbell is in his second spell with the Moors, having had time there back in the 17-18 season. Carl Mosley is another youth player with limited action this season. Tyler Bruck is in his second year with the club. He's also not featured yet this season. Jack Stevens has almost 30 goals in his 2 and a bit seasons with the club. Connor Wilkinson has previously come up against the Stones for the Daggers and the Gills in recent years. Michael Adupoku signed for the Moors recently and has featured in every game since then. He had time last season with us here at the Gallagher, of course. So Nigel, some players yet again that Stones fans and players will remember from recent times.
Again, you look at, although you're happy for Poco, we know what he's about, don't we? He did impress at the back end of last season, and I think particularly in that Kent Cup final against Ebbsfleet, I think he had a really good game there. But we know these players. They're coming in, they're performing in the Solihull team. So if you're measuring yourself against that sort of standard, then you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
I think Tavon Campbell is not featured as heavily as he has done. Again, maybe because of injury, and he's sort of been out injured and he's coming back from injury. Stevens is the one though, isn't he? They've picked him up from the lower leagues and he's just hit the ground running, and he's quickly becoming sort of their star boy. So again, but it's that FA Cup, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you go into it with that expectation? I'm sure the fan base would, and why wouldn't you? But I'm sure the players and Andy Wing and his coaching team would have done their scouting reports on us as we would have done on them. So it just makes me think it's going to be a really close game, and probably we're playing them from our point of view. We're playing them at the right time. Coming off the back of that Hemel Hempstead victory here, we're good on the road. We're still unbeaten this year on the road. They only got their first win, that Barnet game that we previously mentioned, and up until then they hadn't won at home since the opening day of the season. So again, that kind of, if you're not performing, we know what it's like here at the Gallagher. We get similar crowds to what they get. If you're not performing at home, you can be setting the world light away. But if you're not performing at home in front of your own home base, then that discontent soon trickles around the ground, and no more so than again that if you're a fan turning up for an FA Cup first round game at home against Maidstone United, you're going to expect to win that. Yeah. So if a pass goes astray or you don't get an early goal, that touch goes around the ground and that discomfort. So they're going to have to deal with that. So there's all these little intriguing sort of little nuances in there. You know what I mean? And there's little individual battles. And I'm sure, we've seen it last year. If you can go for it to Ipswich and Portman Road, for Christ's sake, but you keep going back to that. And I know it's last season, but sometimes, and we've said it about George, there's something about his management style that he just gets the team up for an FA Cup game or any cup game, in the trophy as well in the past. He gets them up for it. We won the Kent Senior Cup last season. He gets the team up for it. He makes you feel like, you're 2 or 3 levels better than what you actually are. Yeah. So if you can instill that confidence throughout the rest of the team, and we've said it as well, the new guys that have come in like Ben Brooks, and they've just seen that run we had last year, and they've been performing to a high standard, and they'll want a piece of the action. They want a piece of going to their third round in the FA Cup and performing at these big grounds that they've only seen on the TV. So again, we said it. That's why they've come to Maidstone to be part of that success. So it's a good opportunity, and that's we've got to sort of grasp that opportunity and not leave anything in the changing room and just go out there and I think it'll probably help our situation as well. Not having replays this year. Yeah. I know there's a lot of
we didn't need them last season.
We didn't need them, but I think it kind of like it focuses your mind. Get it done on a day, and you can sort of set up differently. if you're sort of like trailing by a goal going into the last 5 minutes, and like we've had so many games cancelled, you're psychologically you'll be thinking, oh, do I really want to replay another midweek game? But you can sort of like, no, sod it, we get that. Then you know it's going to be done on a day, and you can get them penalties, and you're the one that's going into that penalty shootout, having come from behind with the upward momentum. It's exactly what happened with Solihull in their replay, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they were down and out against Altrincham. It looked like Altrincham were going to breathe into it, got that really last minute equaliser, then they won the penalty shootout. So you know, it just proves that can be the case sometimes. So yeah, again, it's just one of all these little added ingredients that I think is going to make it a really good game. We haven't really got a good record against Solihull in the past, have we? I don't think we've ever beaten them, to be fair. We've got 2 draws in the games that we've played previously, but law of averages says that's got to change sometime. So
We'll come on to
why
that in a
not
second.
today? Why not?
Why not? So the form from Solihull, they've only won one of their first 6 home games this season before winning the most recent 3, starting with the shootout replay win against Altrincham. Their last game, of course, we've already alluded to, was at Gateshead, where Regan Booty scored the only goal. And of course, Stone's last league game was at home with Benton, on loan from Solihull Moors, scoring the winner. We've already said it numerous times this season, Nigel, and over the years. Football's very strange.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think just going back on that with the Gates, I think they've credited that goal to another player now, because it was a free kick on the line or something. Another player got the touch, but yeah, it was definitely one of Booty's free kicks that game. So yeah, it's just that sort of them sort of like football, isn't it? Do you know, it's these little
sliding doors.
Yeah,
stuff,
exactly,
isn't it? Yeah.
exactly. It comes up every now and again, and you know, the fact that John Benton scored our only goal, and then you know Regan Booty's got a hand in there only goal. It's just
Strange.
weird, isn't it? But
So in the head-to-head stakes, 8 meetings in the last decade or so. We've already mentioned no Stones win yet. The Moors winning all 4 at home. But it's your part here, Nigel, where you tell me that none of that has any bearing on the outcome for the Stones come Saturday anyway.
no, of course you don't. Nothing at all. You know, it's the FA Cup, isn't it? And like I've just alluded to there, it's like you just get out for the cup, don't you? You know, we are a cup side now, and people. You can't look at league form, and we're not going to be overawed by going to their ground. In fact, they've even got our old stand there, haven't they?
Well, so, yeah, home from home, exactly.
And there's all them links, you know, between the teams, and you know, I mentioned the players, and you know, we've got that link with Solihull because we've managed to get John Benton here. So again, you know, it's just, if it was a National League fixture, you know, it wouldn't be out of place in the National League, I don't think, with the 2 teams and the way they're playing at the moment. So, you know, all on the day, and it's all up for grabs.
Nice. So if you weren't fortunate enough to get a ticket and can't make it to the game on Saturday, Chris and Fred will have you covered on Stones Live. Praise the contractual gods. A subsection in the terms and conditions exists that permits our live broadcast from the first round onwards. So you'll see them on Hot Take and then hear them on the highlights once they go online later in the weekend. So the Stones' magical cup run overfloweth once again this season. No need for a replay at this stage, so we will know come Saturday what we are doing, roughly, during the last weekend of November. Everything crossed for you lads. So thanks, as always, for watching the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of the Dorking game. And as always,
Come on, you Stones!